Right now, I'll be sharing with you my 3 all-time favorite shoulder exercises. We'll be covering the front, side, along with the rear delt. So let's get into it. When it comes to building bigger shoulders, a lot of people want to just do lateral raises in every direction, and lateral raises definitely have their place, but you have to still get stronger at the overhead pressing variations. And there's this misconception that the seat has to be all the way up. You could have some really big shoulders and be pressing at a 60-degree bench. Some people have even set a 45-degree bench. But for the sake of this video, roll with a 60. Some people don't have the best overhead mobility, and this will grant them more access, not to mention that they're also seated, so the weight will literally be in front of them. And if you do it on a Smith machine as well, this takes care of a lot of the external stability demands of the lifts. That's why I really like pressing overhead off a Smith. Also, the fact that I do barbell bench and I do barbell incline press. So to do a barbell seated shoulder press, I like to still get different types of machines into my programming as well, and this is where the Smith comes in. So right here, a nice unrack, and you want the bar to skin the chin. So right here, it's skinning my goatee. Come right back up. You could go, or you could touch the clavicle, that's fine. Or you could also just go to chin height, that's fine too. As far as it's set up from toe all the way to head, it goes like so. Some people will feel more comfortable with the narrow stance, some medium, and some will really like to really widen out their stance. That's more of a personal preference, but at the same time, you want to make sure you're finding a stance where you feel the most stable. Also, you want to be using a bench that isn't too flimsy. The last thing you want is to be pressing a heavy amount of weight with the bench where you apply some type of force and it moves back and now it messes up your bar path. So you want to make sure that your bench is anchored. This is a very heavy bench. If you have a lighter bench, you could also take, for example, a plate or two, put it in back, put it in front, whatever you need to do to make the bench more stable and more anchored. So once that's cemented, okay, you want to have your feet apply pressure as if you're trying to move the bench, but the bench is anchored, like I said, so it's not going to move. So myself, I set up with more of a medium stance, okay? And I'm gonna apply pressure as if I'm doing a leg extension, but my feet aren't actually moving. And this is gonna basically create a situation where my lower body is very stable, and I'm not gonna be doing this tap dancey thing because that's obviously not doing us any favors. So apply this leg drive. This is gonna be pushing my upper back, my whole back into the bench. As far as the head position is concerned, you could look slightly up, you could look in front of you. Myself personally, I feel a bit better when I'm looking in the direction that I'm actually pressing in. And as far as like the scapula is concerned, you could shrug, bring it back down. So the whole scapular retraction thing. And very similar to like you're doing a bench press, right? You could even use these pins here to wedge yourself in, like so. And when it comes to the unrack, you don't want to get a huge amount of elevation. This might mess up your positioning. So I like to do is get tight, like so. I'm pushing myself into the bench like so, so you see the quads are on. And now from here, I'm gonna slowly bring it down and bring it right back up. So, in my case with this machine and this setting, I have to reach a little bit higher. So I might actually benefit from having it slightly lower. Even if I'm gonna lose a bit of strength, this might actually be a better setting for me where all I have to do is just, as opposed to having to reach too high, and that could potentially make you lose some kind of force. Delts are concerned, you guys have seen me in previous episodes do the chest supported lateral raise, like so. Very effective because now you have external stability, but this is not the only variation I like to do. I actually do 2 variations that I swap back and forth. So I'll do, for example, 12 to 16 weeks chest support. And another one that I like very much is a seated lateral raise variation Obviously, big shout out to Dorian Yates. This is where I got the idea from watching his old shoulder videos back in the day. With my videos, I like to give you guys variations to stuff you actually have access to. So if I give you like some crazy cable variation with special cuffs, which are very effective as well, not everybody has the time to set that up, not everybody has the special cuffs, whatever the case is, but everybody has a seat with some dumbbells. So all you're gonna do is you sit down, you can lean forward a very slight bit, that's fine. And then when it comes time to raise the dumbbells, which is not by your side, by the way, and it's not a front raise either, it's in the scapular plane, so it's diagonally, you could lean back a very slight bit. So it looks like this. Very effective. And I have the constant tension, I have clearance because the dumbbells are not touching my thighs every rep. Just like that. Loading potential is high on these as well. As you can see, I'm using a slight bit of body English, but it's not anything too crazy. On my warm-ups on these, I like to pause the top. On more working sets where it starts getting heavier, if I don't have the pause programmed, I don't mind doing so. To show you more of the working set. Want to build the biggest rear delts possible, you want to isolate them, and I think the reverse pec deck is hands down one of the best lifts to do that. And if you look at guys like Dorian Yates, he would do the hands-free reverse pec deck. It was lying down, and that's what I'm trying to basically mimic onto this. I actually don't even hold on to the handles at all. And training your rear delts directly is going to give you more of that 3D look. It's going to give you more of that pop that you're not going to get from just not isolating them. I feel like if you want to isolate them, it's like me saying if you want the biggest biceps, just do chin-ups. Like you still want to do your curls. Rear delts is very similar, and this is why I really like this reverse pec deck machine. So there's obviously different styles, but myself, I really like not using my hands because I feel like I can connect better with the rear delt. So I'll put my hands like this with my thumb in, 45 like so. And what's nice is I have a nice chest support and I'm seated. But I don't do these in any typical way. I actually skip the bottom altogether. So I'll actually start it right here. So I'm getting a full constant tension in the rear delts. I'm just pumping out reps like this. Pause here, pause here. So I find that when I pause, if I'm not just going fast reps, if I pause here, and I pause here, I'm not throwing it. And the rear delts are basically doing all the work. Loading potential is high. And as far as my rep ranges are concerned, I don't do this for low reps. I'll do this for 15 all the way up to 20 reps. That covers my current 3 favorite shoulder exercises. So we did a Smith machine 60-degree press for the front delt. We did a seated lateral raise with dumbbells for the side delt. And we did a reverse pec deck without the hands holding it at the end for the rear delts. So let me know in the comment section below if you're currently doing any of these lifts. How has your shoulder progress been coming along in the year of 2023? Let me know. Subscribe to the channel and see you guys next time.